Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to our Tuesday evening Bhagavad Gita discussion. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinim Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So last time we started discussion on chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita, the most confidential knowledge. And we discussed first 10 verses, text 1 through 10. So it starts with Krishna telling Arjuna that I will now impart the most confidential knowledge upon you, knowing which you should become free from the miseries of this life. You should become full of happiness and bliss. And this knowledge is known as Rajvidya, the king of all knowledge. And it's Raj Guhyam. This is the most confidential knowledge. And we discussed what is the qualification to understand that knowledge. That is Anasuya way, okay, to be free from envy. And Krishna says only the faithful people, they can understand this knowledge, they can accept this knowledge. And how we develop faith? By hearing about Krishna, by knowing more and more about Krishna, then we develop faith in Krishna. So Lord Krishna talk about his inconceivable potencies, how he creates this material world, how he maintains this material world, and how he annihilate this material world time after time. So, and ultimately Krishna says this material nature is working under my direction. Even though I create everything, I stay aloof from this material world. So Krishna creates this, but Krishna does not become entangled with this. Krishna stays aloof from this. He creates everything, but he doesn't become attached to this. See, contrary to that, when we create something, we become attached to that. Right? If you create any painting or any other object, you will be very attached to that. You will become very concerned that nobody should mishandle this or nobody should mess up with this. But Krishna has created this whole material creation, and Krishna has given to us to stay in this material world and try to act in the way we want, okay, with our little minute independence, freedom. So Krishna does not interfere with the free will of the living entity. Okay, so that is we discussed in the first 10 verses. Now moving forward, Lord Krishna now explains text 11 onwards that how different people understand him differently. Okay, how the impersonalists understand him, and what is the destination of such people. And then how the pure devotees, the Ananya Bhakta, Kevala Bhakta, how they understand Krishna and what is their destination. What is the benefit of understanding Krishna in that way? So chapter 9, text 11. Avajananti mamudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. So Krishna says, avajananti mama mudha. So the foolish people, they do not understand Krishna. They misunderstand Krishna. They think that Krishna has descended into a human form. Manushim tanum ashrita. Down, I have taken shelter of a human-like form. So they do not understand Krishna's transcendental nature. Param bhavam ajananto. Okay, so they do not understand. They have ignorant about the transcendental nature of Krishna. And they do not understand Krishna as the controller of all. Maheshwaram, that he is the controller of all material and spiritual creation of all the living entities. So that is, Krishna is now talking about the impersonalist here, who consider that Supreme Lord, he is just some energy, and now he has manifested into a human-like form. So Krishna is talking about such people as foolish people, mudha. Now, there are three categories. Okay? One is people who are in knowledge. So jananti. So people who know Krishna, what is their destination? They attain to liberation. They do not have to appear in this world again and again. So chapter 4, text 9, Krishna says, Janama karma cha me divyam evam yaveti tatvatah. So somebody who knows me, who knows my appearance and my activities in this material world, who are in knowledge, okay, tatvata, who knows me in essence, they do not have to take birth again and again in this material world. So people who are in knowledge, jananti, they lead to liberation. And ajananti, ajananti means who do not understand Krishna, who are in ignorance. For them, what will happen? They will stay in this material world. They will continue into this material existence. And the third category Krishna is saying here is avajananti. Avajananti means even lower class, which is misunderstanding about Krishna. One thing is to be ignorant, another thing is to misunderstand Krishna. Okay, label Krishna with something else. So that is avajananti. So Krishna is saying avajananti mamamuda. They have a misunderstanding about me. And what will happen to that? They will get into bigger bondage. Their bondage will continue to increase. They are going to go even lower into this material world, either into the lower species or to the lower realms in this material world. So these are the three categories what Krishna is talking about. Now, Prabhupada, when gave Krishna consciousness in India, okay, before Prabhupada came to America, Prabhupada had tried preaching Krishna consciousness in India. He was in Jhansi for some time. Then he moved to Vrindavan and he used to go to Delhi to print his magazine and to distribute that magazine. So when Prabhupada tried to preach in India, people generally thought, oh, we already know about Krishna. We already know Krishna. He was born in Mathura into the prison house of Kamsa. Then he was taken into Gokul. He grew up there. Then he came and he killed Kamsa. Then he became the king of Dwarika. So people thought they had some basic knowledge about Krishna, but they thought, oh, we already know about Krishna. What is so special about this? But actually, either people had no knowledge of Krishna or they have misunderstood Krishna. They have misunderstanding of Krishna. And when we have misunderstanding, that can lead to offenses. So Krishna here uses both words, avajananto and ajananto, in this one verse. Okay, avajananto means misunderstanding of me, and ajananto for not knowing my nature, being ignorant about my true nature. So people generally think, oh, anything which has form, it has to be limited. Right? When we think I have this body, because this body has so many problems associated with this, so we think body or any particular form means it has to be some limitation. So how God can have form? That is generally people's conception. So God, he cannot be bound like us, he cannot have limitation like us. So he must not have any form. So we deride the Supreme Lord in two ways. People in general, they deride the Supreme Lord in two ways. One thing is they deride the personal form of the Lord. And the second thing, they deride the deity form of the Lord in the temple. They cannot understand the deity form of the Lord also. They think this deity form of the Lord, this is made of stone, wood, clay, things like that. And it is just a statue, idol. That's from where this word comes, idol worship, right? People think, oh, it's idol worship. It is just a statue. But there is a difference in an idol and the deity form of the Lord. See, the idol, the statue, people make statue of some personality who became something, they have done something special in the community. Okay, so they made some statue of these historical personalities, and that statue is maybe standing at some cross section road or somewhere in some park. People may go and garland that statue, and there is no reciprocation. But the deity form of the Lord is different. It's not just a statue, it's not an idol. There is a reciprocation between the devotee and the deity form of the Lord. Okay, so people do not understand that, and they deride the deity form of the Lord in temple also. Sometimes people say, why go to temple? Lord is everywhere. So what is the point in going to temple? Because they think the Supreme Lord, he is just some energy. He is present everywhere in the form of his energy. And he cannot have a personal form. And his deity form is also just some imagination. So here Krishna is saying these impersonalist people, the foolish people, they do not accept my form. They cannot understand my true nature. So what happens to such people? What is their destination? So in the next verse, Krishna says, Moghasha mogha karmano mogha jnana vichetasah rakshasim asurim cheva prakratim mohinim shritah. So what happened to such people? Moghasha. Moghasha means waste. Mogha means waste. It becomes useless, failure. Okay, so Mogha Asha, their hope for liberation becomes failure, useless. It goes in waste. Mogha Karmano, their desire for fruitive result, the result for their fruitive activity, that also goes in waste. And Mogha Jnana, their endeavor for cultivating knowledge, that also becomes waste. So these three things people aspire for. One is the freedom from this bondage, liberation. Second is karmano, means the fruitive result, and jnana means cultivation of knowledge. So all these endeavors for liberation, for fruitive activities, for knowledge, it all becomes useless, waste, because their consciousness is misdirected. They may be looking for something beyond Krishna. That is the misdirected knowledge. Hare Krishna. Okay, so moghasha, mogha karmano, mogha jnana vichetasaha. So all these three endeavors, they become fruitless, useless, failure. And so these people take shelter in the demoniac and atheistic propensities. They may fall into worse entanglement, as Krishna is saying, because they further become more and more degraded. They don't just stay at that same platform, they become even more degraded. And the bondage can come in two ways. One has to take birth again and then exhaust the sinful karma. And second thing is, one may get even further sinful desires. Okay, because of those sinful desires, one will further commit some sinful activities and build up, pile up bigger fruitive karma, the sinful karma. So bondage can come in two ways. The whatever previous karma is there, we have to take birth to exhaust that, and we may end up building more sinful, negative karma. So in 9.12, if we understand, if we split the verse into two, so the first line, Moghasha, Mokh Karmano, Mokh Jnana Vichetasa, here Krishna says whatever their endeavors are, they become useless. So there is at least no positive result. But in the second line, Krishna is saying there is even bigger negative result. So their endeavor do not lead to any positive result, but rather it leads to bigger negative result. Okay. So again, understand here Krishna is talking about impersonalist who do not accept Krishna's personal form. They commit offense to the personal form of the Lord, to the absolute truth. And sometimes people just have influence of this Mayavadi philosophy. They may not be Mayavadi for sake, they just have little influence. So we do not have to label anybody that, oh, he is a Mayavadi person. It's just that people have some influence of Mayavadi philosophy. They have heard something here and there. So we don't have to abandon. We have to just learn to be alert and protect ourselves that when we hear from somebody, we do not get affected. But at the same time, we do not have to label other person that, oh, he is a Mayavadi, he is an impersonalist. Because you pick any dharmic people, Hindu people, and Prabhupada says you scratch any such religious, pious Hindu people, and if you scratch them, you will find some tinge of Mayavad there. Because there is some influence of all these concocted philosophies in the air. So now 9.13 and 14, Krishna talk about Kevala Bhakta, the pure devotee, Ananya Bhakta of the Lord. So 9.13, Krishna says, Mahatmanamstu mam partha devim prakritim ashritah bhajante ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. So now Krishna is describing Kevala Bhakti. Okay. In chapter 7, also first Krishna talked about four type of people who do not surrender to Krishna, and then four type of people who surrender to Krishna. So same way here, first Krishna tells about the people who have misunderstanding about his personal form, and now Krishna is speaking about the pure devotees, the Ananya Bhakta. So 9.13, Krishna says, Mahatmanamstu mam partha devim prakritim ashrita. So the first line is talking about the internal characteristic of a devotee. What is the internal characteristic? They have taken shelter of the divine nature. Devim prakriti. And the second line, bhajante ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. So this talk about the external characteristics of a devotee. So yes, internally they take shelter of the divine nature of the Lord, and then externally they are engaging in devotional activity, chanting of the names of Krishna, hearing Krishna Katha, bhajante ananya manaso. So Prabhupada translates bhajante as service. Okay, as Prabhupada had mentioned in earlier verses also, be it, let's say, 647. In 647 also, bhajante ananya manaso, or that point comes that who is the topmost yogi, who is intimately united with me in yoga. So who is engaged in service to the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada always translate the word bhajante as rendering service to the Supreme Lord. And here Krishna is using the word Mahatma. This is being multiple times so far since this word Mahatma is used. There are few other verses earlier where Krishna has used this word Mahatma. And again, what is the meaning of this word Mahatma? The first sign of the Mahatma is that he is situated in the divine nature. Okay. And here, what is the reference to the divine nature? That refers to Srimati Radharani. So when Krishna is saying Mahatmanam Sumam Partha Devim Prakriti Mashrita, they have taken shelter of the divine nature, the internal potency of the Lord. So reference is to Srimati Radharani. As we have discussed earlier, there are external energy of the Lord, marginal energy, and the internal energy. And external energy is referring to this material nature, Maya Devi. Marginal energy is all the living entities. They are marginal energy of the Lord, Tathastha Shakti. So Baharanga Shakti, Tathastha Shakti, and Antaranga Shakti. Baharanga Shakti means external energy, Maya Devi. Tathastha Shakti means the marginal energy, the living entities. And Antaranga Shakti means internal energy of the Lord. And internal energy also, there are three categories. Sambit Shakti, Sandhini Shakti, and Haladini Shakti. So Sambit Shakti means with which Krishna knows everything. And Sandhini Shakti means with which Krishna maintain his personal form and spiritual abodes. Haladini Shakti is the pleasure potency of the Lord, and that is Srimati Radharani. So here, when Krishna is saying Mahatmanam su mam partha devim prakriti mashrita, they have taken shelter of my divine nature, my divine energy. So here reference is to this Haladini Shakti, the divine nature, taking shelter of Srimati Radharani. As we're to approach Krishna, we cannot approach Krishna directly. We can approach Krishna through Srimati Radharani. Okay, and Bhajanti refers to rendering service, and Ananya Manaso means without deviation of the mind. So without deviation of the mind, engaged in my service, they know me to be the original source of all creation and inexhaustible. So that is the characteristic of Kevala Bhakta. So we can say devotion when we say bhakti, when we use the word bhakti. Bhakti can be translated simply as devotion, and Srila Prabhupada always translates devotion, bhakti, as devotional service. Okay, so devotion is internal and service is external. So devotion is basically our bhava, our mood, and service is engaging based on that bhava. So devotion is internal and service is external. And when in 913 devotional aspect is mentioned, here Krishna speak about the service aspect, that they are engaged in service. And what is their activity, what they do as Ananya Bhakta? So Krishna says, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantascha Dridavratah Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nityayukta Upasate. So this is very important verse which endorses Kirtan. Okay, it endorses the chanting of the holy name. Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. So in general, Kirtan means Kirti ka Gayan. Okay, so to glorify, that is the meaning of Kirtan. So when we say Kirtan, it includes chanting, it includes Kirtan, it includes Katha, speaking about Krishna. So it includes everything. Kirtan includes everything. In general, it means glorification. So Sattam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantasya Dridavata. So they are constantly engaged in my glorification in the form of chanting, kirtan, katha, with full endeavor, Dhradavrata. Okay, so like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also instructed, Kirtanya Sadahari. One should always chant the name of Hari, glorify Hari. Discussing the practical aspects. Okay, so in terms of, let's say we are managing temple affairs, managing any particular preaching activities, managing affairs or giving instruction to somebody also, that is also kirtan, to help engage somebody into the service of the Lord. So in that sense, that is also kirtan. So example of Prabhupada, during his last days, Prabhupada was giving instruction to Bhakti Sabrup Damodar Maharaj about defeating the scientific misconceptions. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, will you like to have some kirtan now? He was thinking, oh, Srila Prabhupada is discussing all these other subject matters. So rather Prabhupada should just relax, chant the holy name and hear some kirtan. And Prabhupada said, what were we doing right now? Wasn't that kirtan? Were we doing some other mundane activity? So Prabhupada's viewpoint is giving instruction to somebody to propagate this Krishna consciousness, to help engage somebody in service of Krishna. All that comes in the broad spectrum of kirtan. Okay, but if somebody is doing only management and not taking time out for his chanting, his japa, that is also not good. So yes, we have to do our sadhana, our personal own sadhana, as well as we have to engage in some level of preaching activity to spread this message. Okay, as His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he says, if we are doing only our sadhana and not and resisting the opportunity for preaching, then we are only doing we are only 50% Krishna conscious. Okay, so Krishna consciousness means we do our sadhana and then we try to spread this message also, engage in preaching services also. So Kirtan includes everything. And then Dhrada Vrata is with full determination, full vigor. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada worked so hard for Krishna. He was translating, he was writing books, he was instructing the devotees in deity worship. He was instructing devotees for spreading, going to different places, starting temple, writing letter to them, giving instructions, going on morning walk, and during those also he is instructing. So Prabhupada was working so hard for Krishna, sleeping only 2 hours. And in earlier days, if Prabhupada had taken when he came to US, if Prabhupada thought, oh, it's too much struggle, why should I struggle here? Better I go back to India and stay in Vrindavan. Then what would have happened? Right? We will not be here where we are now. So we are grateful to Prabhupada for being Dhradavrata, that he continued with determination to spread this Krishna consciousness in the Western world, to prepare the ground for other people who are going to come to Western world later, and at least they could come in touch with Krishna here in the foreign land also. And then namastyantascha, paying obeisances, and nityayukta upasate, constantly engaging in worshipping of the Lord. So these are the qualities of the Kevala Bhakta, Dhradavrata. Now, 9.15 onwards, Krishna is talking about the other type of people who accept the different aspects of the Supreme Lord. Okay, so here now Krishna gives three terminologies. Text 15, Krishna is going to talk about the three category of people who are either having the concept of oneness. Okay, so they are Brahmavadis. Oneness means, yes, God is everywhere. So they do not at least deride the personal form of the Lord, but they think God is present everywhere. Okay, so that is Ekatvena. So three terminologies which Krishna now explain in text 15 are Ekatvena, Prathaktvena, and Vishwato Mukham. Okay. So Ekatvena means who has conception of oneness, like the Brahmavadis. It's not Mayavadi. So there is a difference in a Mayavadi and Brahmavadi. Brahmavadi think Brahman is the highest aspect, but at least they do not deride the personal form of the Lord. Whereas Mayavadis do not even accept the personal form of the Lord. Okay, so Brahmavadi means who think Brahman, the impersonal aspect, is the highest aspect. So that will be further explained in or elaborated in 12th chapter. The 12th chapter starts from that point, Arjuna's question, who is better? A Brahmavadi is better or devotee who accept the personal form of the Lord to be highest, who is better? So that's from where the 12th chapter starts. So Ekatvena, who has the concept of oneness. Then Prathaktvena means that Supreme Lord has manifested himself in many different forms. Okay, so all these Tetis Koti Devi Devata are there. They are the different forms of the same Supreme Lord. So everybody is equal, everybody is same. So that is Prathaktvena. So they engage in demigod worship. Oh, I can worship Ganesha, you can worship Durga, that person can worship Shiva. Ultimately, everybody is same, everybody is equal, because the same Supreme Lord has manifested himself into many different forms. So that is Prathaktvena philosophy, which Krishna is going to talk in detail, text 20 to 28 onwards to 25, where Krishna is going to talk about the Devi Devata worship and what is the result of that Devi Devata worship. Is it equal? Is it same? And then Vishwatomukham means they think this whole universe is like a form of the Lord. That is the universal form of the Lord. Okay. And Krishna is going to explain the universal form in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna has requested, please show me your universal form. I will like to see your universal form. So these are the three different concepts which Krishna is explaining here in text 15, as or introducing, at least introducing in text 15. Ekatvena, Bahutvena, Prathaktvena, and Vishwatomukham. So some people, they take to Vishwrup Upasana. Those are Vishwatomukham. Okay. So that is their material meditational tool to reach the absolute truth. They think, oh, we can try to perceive Krishna in this universal form. And in that way, they try to reach to the absolute truth. Then Prathaktvena, that is like the Pratik Upasana. Demigods or these different Devi Devatas, they are the symbols of that Supreme, that Brahman. Okay, and then the third one is Ahangropasana, that is Ekatvena. Okay, so they think Brahman is the absolute. So at least from material to spiritual consciousness progress hierarchy is here, from Vishvarupa to Pratika to Ekatvena. Vishvarupa means everything is God. Okay, Pratika means this is still material, but at least they are being the controller. So demigod worship, like the polytheism. Polytheism means the different worshipping the different personalities as multiple different forms. Now 9.16, Krishna talk about further how they engage in some sort of Vedic rituals, sacrifices to do this Agni Stotra or some sort of yagyas to engage in the worship of this universal form of the Lord. And then further, 9.17 onwards is where now Krishna talk about explaining his relation again with the universal form, that I am the father of this universe. So here 9.17, Krishna talk about that I am the seed of everything. So it's also important verse. Pitahamasya jagato mata dhata pitamaha vedam pavitram omkara riksamyayur evacha. So here Krishna says, I am the father of the universe, the mother, the support, the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig Veda, the Sama Veda, and Yajur Veda. So Krishna is talking about again his relation with this material world. Okay. And in Vishwrup Upasana, one start connecting everything with the Supreme Lord. In this world, we have different supports, different shelters, like father, mother, teacher. So Krishna is saying, I am everything. Pitahamasya jagato mata dhata pitama. So I am the supreme shelter. So when we say in this material world that father is God. Father should be worshipped as God. Mother should be worshipped as God. Is it to be taken literally? So they are representing the Supreme Lord, but ultimately Krishna is the original father of this universe. He is the father, mother, grandfather, everything of this universe. And sometimes people, they think, oh, see, one should worship his own father, his serve his own father, his parents, or his teacher. They are representation of the Supreme Lord. Why to do bhakti from this young age? Sometimes people or parents oppose their children taking to Krishna consciousness. They say, oh, you should respect us, you should obey us, you should serve us. Father is God, mother is God. So if it is literal that father is God, mother is God, then there are two gods. Sometimes father and mother may have conflict. Father want the son to become doctor, mother want the son to become engineer or lawyer. So whose side one should take? Now, father is also God, mother is also God. So whose side one should take? Side of the father God or side of mother God? So when we say father is God, mother is God, it is not as a literal thing. Point is, but one should respect one's parents. One should see them also as a representative of the Supreme Lord in our life here. They are our shelter here in this material world. But ultimately, Krishna is the supreme shelter. Okay. So one should, while trying to take care of one's material responsibilities, family responsibilities, one should not forget about his ultimate supreme responsibility. Okay, as we talk about two type of dharma, one is on the bodily conception, and another one is at our real identity. So Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma is our eternal duty that is towards the Supreme Lord. So one should have that responsibility to serve the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Father. And while doing that, point is not to disrespect father and mother, but to understand that father and mother are also part of the Supreme Lord. So I should serve them, but at the same time, my eternal duty is to serve the Supreme Lord. We are grateful to our parents who have brought us into this world, who has given us some sanskaras in our childhood. But whoever is benefiting us is through Krishna. That understanding should be there. Okay, so everything is coming from Krishna, and they are maybe as a representative of Krishna who are trying to support us in this material world. So this 917, Krishna says, I am the father, the original seed of the whole creation. And then 918, Krishna explains what is God. He is the source of everything. He is the creator. So text 18, Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasah Sharanam Surat Prabhavah Pralaya Sthanam Nidhanam Bijam Avyayam. So Krishna says, I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and annihilation, the basis of everything, resting place, and the eternal seed. Okay, Bijam Avyayam. So I am the eternal seed. I am the goal. I am the refuge, Sharanam, and Suhrit, the most dear friend. So here Krishna is explaining what is God. Okay, he is the source of everything. He is the creator. In this world, so many people, they give us love, they give us shelter. But as devotee, we understand that it is Krishna who is giving us everything through them. Whatever we are getting through our father, mother, our teachers, our society, ultimately everything is given by Krishna. They are just the biomedias. An example of Prabhupada, he appreciating so many devotees who had helped him, either coming to US or serving in this mission. So let's say first thing, Prabhupada appreciates Sumati Murarji for arranging a ticket on Jaladuta, right, passage in Jaladuta, and arranging for some vegetarian food at the ship. And ultimately he says, thanks to Krishna for enlightening her from within to make this arrangement. So yes, Prabhupada acknowledged Srimati Murarji, Sumati Murarji, that she is making this arrangement. And ultimately, Prabhupada is saying, ultimately, it's Krishna's arrangement through her. Krishna enlightened her from within to make this arrangement. Okay, so that is the point we need to understand. When we see, oh, somebody has helped me, somebody has done something for me, be it our parents, spouse, children, neighbor, whoever, they have whatever they have done. Ultimately, this is Krishna's arrangement. Krishna is manifesting his mercy through them. Okay, once one very beautiful story. One old lady, she had so much faith in Krishna that Krishna is maintaining her, even though she is so poor. She just go beg something, and in that way she manages her affair. And whenever she gets something, she will look up and say, "Thank you, Krishna, for providing this to me." Okay, and there was another envious neighbor who was very irritated at her statements, that she is always saying, oh, God is maintaining me, God is taking care of me. So one day he thought, oh, I will teach a lesson to this old lady. So what he did is he went to the market, he brought all the groceries, vegetables and all other things, brought the bags and kept at the door of her kutia and knocked on the door. And he went and hid behind the tree. As this old lady opened the door, saw all these bags, grocery bags, and she was very surprised and very happy. She immediately looked up and said, oh, Krishna, thank you so much for sending all this to me, providing all this to me. And this man who was hiding behind the tree, he immediately jumped out and said, see, you are thanking God for providing all this. Actually, I am the one who provided all this to you. I went to the market, I shopped all these things, I paid for this thing, I brought and I kept outside your door. I am the one who gave you all this. And this old lady looked at him, smiled, and again looked up and said, thank you, Krishna, for making all this arrangement through this atheist person. So the point is, whoever is doing anything, ultimately it is coming from Krishna. Okay, so Prabhupada is emphasizing this point here, that Sumati Maharajji made all these arrangement, but ultimately through Krishna. Krishna did it through her by enlightening her from within. So we should be grateful to people who are doing anything to us, but ultimately we should be grateful to Krishna. Okay, so it's multi-level understanding. For example, if one is sick and goes to doctor, so doctor try to find the disease, he does his diagnosis and he finds a disease, he gives medicine. Or somebody who is struggling for life, maybe doctor is saving the life. So doctor saves the life, people generally say, oh, doctor saved my life. Yes, in one sense, doctor saved the life, we should be grateful to the doctor, but ultimately we should be grateful to God, we should be grateful to Krishna, that, oh, Krishna saved my life. He made doctor as the instrument, because if doctor is the only one who is saving life, then doctor should be able to save all lives. Nobody should die in the hospitals, nobody should be dying in that case, nobody should be dying during any surgery or anything, if doctor is the only medium. So when somebody's life is saved through the doctor, ultimately that is also because of Krishna. Yes, we are grateful to the doctor who utilized his knowledge, his skill who saved the life, but ultimately it is Krishna we should be grateful to. So this is multi-level understanding where the gratitude is due. Okay. So text 19, Krishna further says, what is his relation? What is he doing for everybody in this material world? So why Krishna is explaining these verses here again? Krishna is saying somebody believes in me, somebody doesn't believe in me. I am providing all the basic necessities for everybody. Okay, so I am the source of everything. I am the supreme refuge. And then further text 19, Krishna says, what I'm doing, that I give heat and I send this rain. So Krishna is providing the light necessary for everybody. Krishna is supplying the heat necessary for everybody. Krishna is supplying the rain, which is necessary for everybody to maintain their lives. Even though somebody may not believe in God, but Krishna is still providing all those basic necessities. So Krishna is providing everything. And then Krishna says, I am immortality. Amrit cheva mrityuscha. Sat asat chaham Arjuna. So I am the immortality. I am the death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. Sat asat. Okay, so here, what is Krishna emphasizing on? Krishna is taking in deeper, even in the negative aspects. Till now, he is saying all the positive things. But now, when rain does not come, is that also because of Krishna? Or when we have some flood, some tsunami, some earthquake come, is that also because of Krishna? So this question was asked last in Saturday class, after the Saturday class in Bhakti Vriksha. That okay, if everything is because of Krishna, if Krishna is the ultimate cause of everything, so when all these negative things happen, is that also because of Krishna? Is Krishna responsible for that? Okay, so Krishna is saying, yes, everything is ultimately coming from me. I withhold and I send forth the rain. And devotee learn to see God in both positive and negative. So huge rain is also display of the power of Krishna. And Prabhupada says, when hear the bomb falling, okay, Prabhupada during in Calcutta, when Prabhupada is in Calcutta, uh, at that time when the World War II was happening and the bombs were falling, and Prabhupada, when hear the bomb falling, he will say, oh, it is also Krishna coming. But not very pleasant form of Krishna, because Krishna can come in the form of death also, right? Krishna says, I am death personified. So Krishna comes in the form of death also. Krishna does not have to have any specific agenda in this situation. Sheer power of death overpowers the most powerful, because everybody has to die one day. Nobody can escape death. And for the atheistic people, when Krishna comes in the form of death, Krishna takes away everything. For that person, death is very ghastly, very horrific. But for a devotee, when the death comes, it is like Krishna's embrace. So for them, Krishna comes in the form of immortality. So it may seem contradictory. Okay, how can same God give immortality as well as death? For the atheistic, for the demoniac people, Krishna comes as death, devouring them. And for the devotees, the Ananya Bhaktas, Krishna comes as Amrit, as nectar, giving them immortality. And when Krishna performs his pastime, it attracts us. Okay, Krishna is engaging in his activities when Krishna appears in any form, be it as Krishna, as Lord Ramachandra, as Narsingadev. He is engaging in different activities, different pastimes, that is to attract us and thus give us immortality, right? So in that, by performing all these different wonderful pastimes, Krishna is spreading the Amrit, the nectar. Now, text 20, okay, Krishna further explains, Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reaction, they take birth on the pious heavenly planets of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. So, those who studies the Veda and drink the Soma juice, first of all, the Soma juice mentioned here is not liquor. Okay, as people say, oh, Devi Devatas, they also drink Soma juice, and here we are drinking liquor, wine. What is the problem? By drinking liquor here, one becomes intoxicated and does so many of kind of sinful activities or nonsense things. But here, when they drink the Soma, they become ecstatic, in the sense it takes one away from sin. They become purified. When people drink liquor, they become not purified but more sinful, more ignorant. But the people who are drinking the soma juice, they become free from sins, purified. So just as one sideline point here, I thought of mentioning, but in general, what Krishna is saying here. So people who engage in Vishvarupa Upasana or in pantheism or worshipping the different personalities, they may connect with higher reality. They may be able to go to the heavenly planets, a celestial region, because Krishna is using the word they go to. Let's see, the word used here is Swarga. Okay, Swargam, Swargatam Prathyante. So they may reach to the Swarga, the heavenly planet. So there are three different level of existence. One is terrestrial, which is the earthly planets, and below terrestrial earthly planet there is subterrestrial, which is hellish planets. So there is hellish planets, subterrestrial, then there is terrestrial earthly planets, then there is celestial. Celestial means heavenly planets, the higher planets within this material world. And then there is transcendental. Transcendental is spiritual world. So there is a gradual progression going from subterrestrial region, coming to terrestrial region, then going higher to celestial planets. Ultimately, one should go beyond this celestial region, also go to the transcendental realm, which is the spiritual world. Okay. So here Krishna says, okay, they reach to this Swarga planet, the Divya. Divya here mentioned refers to celestial, the heavenly planets. So people may reach to this higher planet, but ultimately, after performing these Karmakandi rituals, which is indirect worship of Krishna, they may not reach to the permanent place as a transcendental world, because they are seeking for some material higher enjoyment within this world. Yes, in spiritual world, there is ultimate unlimited happiness. But in the Swarga, in the heavenly planets, there is material enjoyment which is higher than earthly planets. But again, this is temporary. They don't seek for higher material happiness, but seek for higher than material happiness. So people seek higher material happiness. They think, oh, in this earthly planet, material happiness is very limited. I want better material enjoyment, okay, higher level of material enjoyment. But rather than seeking higher material enjoyment, one should seek something higher than material enjoyment, material happiness. That is spiritual happiness. So that is what Krishna is explaining here, that people who worship as a Vishvarupa or the Prathaktvena, the different manifestations, different personalities, in many different forms, many different ways, they may reach to the heavenly planets where there are higher level of happiness. But what will be the end result of that? So text 21, Krishna says, Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam, shine punne mrityulokam vishanti. So even though they may try to enjoy in this heavenly planets, when they have enjoyed the vast heavenly sense pleasure, result of their pious activities are exhausted, what will happen to them? Shine punne mrityulokam vishanti. So when their pious activities are exhausted, they will return back to this mortal planet again. So worshipping these different Devi Devatas, it is not a permanent destination. They may get some higher level material enjoyment within this material world, but ultimately it's temporary. One can attain Swarga also, but one will fall down again. It's like you have a lot of money in your bank, you keep spending that money, and once that money is exhausted, then you cannot do anything. Right? If your bank balance is nil, zero, now you cannot go to any restaurant and eat there or stay in a nice hotel. So if you go on a vacation, if 5 days, 4 night package, you can stay in a nice resort, you can eat whatever nice things, delicacies you want to eat, as long as you have the ability to pay. And once you run out of your savings, of your funds, they will kick you out from that place. You cannot stay here any longer. Even though you may insist, no, 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 I want to stay here more, but they will kick you out. So same way, by performing some pious activities, gaining some punya karma, sukriti, one can go to the heavenly planets, enjoy the result of their pious activities. But once those are exhausted, they will be sent back into this Mrityulokam, which is the terrestrial region, the earthly planets again. Again, the cycle of karma continues because this earthly realm is considered as the karma bhumi, and that is also only in the human form of life. So only on earth, in the human form of life, we collect karma. Yes, we exhaust also. We are simultaneously exhausting some karma also in this human form also. But all other places and all other species of life are only to exhaust karma. If somebody becomes an animal or a bird or aquatic, or somebody goes to the lower planets or to the higher planets, that is to exhaust the karma. Either we are exhausting our negative karma or exhausting our positive karma. But in only in human form of life on earth, we are building new karma also. Okay, so that is what we need to understand, what Krishna is explaining. Just creating pious activities, yes, one can build pious karma, go to Swarga, enjoy for some time, but they have to again come back here in this material world, into this earthly planets, to again do more karma. And based on the type of karma we do, either positive or negative, we keep going down or up, down or up, down or up, just like a roller coaster. So it's a roller coaster ride going on. What is the end to that? So Krishna will explain in the next verses that what is the destination of the worshippers or of other Devi Devata, and what is the destination of who take shelter of Krishna. Okay, so today we discussed. First, Krishna talk about impersonalist, what is their mindset, how they perceive Krishna. They do not accept Krishna in his personal form. They deride Krishna. What is their destination? Their all activities, their all endeavors are baffled. And then Ananya Bhakta, what is their activity? They are always engaging in glorifying Krishna. Satatam kirtayanto mam. Then Krishna speak about the three categories as Ekatvena, Bahutvena, and Vishwatomukham, who engage in different aspect in worshipping Krishna. And what is their result? By creating punya activities, they may go to Swarga, enjoy for some time, but come back. So that is what we discussed today. So we'll stop here and continue in the next session. Okay, thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Okay, any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams. Actually, you were mentioning that if we go to higher planets, like we drink soma juice, we become purified and we go further up, right? Like, so we don't fall down in that case. I kind of got confused.
So
Yeah.
Soma is what here is mentioned is the Brahmanas or some Karmakandis who are engaging in some sort of rituals, drinking the Soma juice. Soma juice here is, in one sense, some sort of nectar, which is referred as a Soma juice here. Okay, it is not in Swarga that Krishna is talking about. In Swarga, they drink Soma juice. So see, we generally think of Soma juice as intoxicant. Okay, so thinking of drinking intoxicant is foolish. And people think Soma is also intoxicant. Actually, if we say alcohol, that takes our consciousness down to tamoguna. Okay, but the Soma takes consciousness from tama to sattva.
Okay.
So in that sense, it is better. It is not as an intoxicant. Soma juice is something which is helping purify. So when we are there in either heavenly planets, or even if somebody here doing the karma kanda rituals and whatever they are considering as a soma juice, drinking that, they are becoming purified, going to goodness. As a mode of goodness means sattva, but ultimately sattva also is binding. One may come to the stage of from tamo to rajas to sattva, but still that is within the material realm. In the influence of the material nature, it is still binding. Even in the stage of sattva, one can fall down to the stage of tamo also. Okay.
Okay.
So even though in spiritual, in not spiritual, in heavenly planet, somebody is drinking soma juice, they are purified compared to what people are in this earthly planet drinking intoxicants, liquor, and all that. They are completely in the mode of ignorance in tamoguna. But even being in sattva while enjoying the material happiness in the in the heavenly planets, they are exhausting their punya karma. That is the point which Krishna is saying here, that they may be enjoying in the heavenly planets, but that enjoyment is coming with the cost, that they are exhausting all their previous collected punya karma. And again, once that is exhausted, they have to fall down to the earthly planets, to this Mrityu Loka.
Okay. I got it. Okay. I have a couple more, but I guess somebody can go first.
Okay, yeah, let's see if anybody has question, or you can continue.
You were telling that, so like we exhaust bad karma in the hellish planets and good karma in the heavenly planets. So like when we are born here, which means we will not have any karma, but still we get,
No, 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 I
uh,
didn't say that.
oh, okay.
So
Maybe
even
I
here,
misunderstood.
even
Okay.
on earth also, in our current life also, we are exhausting some karma. Okay, so some karma is exhausted in this lifetime also. Whenever any misery is coming, any suffering is coming, that is exhausting some previous negative karma. Whenever some happiness is coming, that is basically as a result of our previous good karma. So within this life also, we are exhausting some karma, and we are building new karma also.
Okay, so it's not like we completely exhaust or we completely
No.
okay.
So it's like you go to a mall. Okay, so you have $10,000 in your pocket. So in the mall, there is some shop where everything is above the price of $500. Okay. So
Okay.
let's start with $1,000. So you have $1,000 in your pocket. So you go to a store in the mall. In that particular store, everything is above $500. So you bought something there. Okay, now you have $400 left. But in that particular store, there is nothing which you can buy in $400. Everything is above the price of 500. So you have 400 left, which you cannot spend in that particular store. But there are other stores where you can buy something in the less price. So now you go to a different store where you spend another $200. So now you have 200 left. So you go to another store where you spend that $200 for even other smaller things. So every particular store has its price tag where you can spend up to minimum starting from certain value. So same way in heavenly planets, you can exhaust certain punya and still some is left. It's not that you have 100% exhausted, but now whatever left punya is, you cannot get anything of that value in heavenly planets. The price tag in the heavenly planets is much higher than what is left over in your account.
Okay. Okay. Got it now. Yeah. Also, like in a lot of places in Prabhupada actually in multiple places mentions even the people like who think the Brahma Jyoti as the highest form of Krishna as impersonalist, and sometimes he mentions them as transcendentalist. So
Right.
I'm kind of always confused, like with different purports, it's like, different.
Because most of the time people get into the category of impersonalist only. It's very rare chance they stay at the level of Brahmavadis where they have understanding of all aspects. They may have a higher affinity towards the Brahman effulgence, Brahma Jyoti, but at least they accept the personal form. But that's very less cases. Okay, mostly people just get into the impersonalist category where they do not accept the personal form at all. So that's why
Mhm.
Prabhupada many times just combine them into one category, into one bucket, that they are impersonalists who are accepting the Brahma Jyoti aspect of the Lord.
Right. Okay.
But yes, Prabhupada at many places he consider them as a transcendentalist also,
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
genuine Brahmavadis, that they are more attracted towards the Brahma Jyoti, but at least they do not deride the personal form of the Lord.
Okay, okay, got it. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Okay, anything else, or we will end it here? Okay. We'll stop here then. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Thank you everyone for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.